If I could describe to you Iron Man 3 in 2 words, I would say highly disappointed. Granted, I liked the film. I thought it was awesome. It was fun. But when you destroy one of the greatest arch villains of Iron Man 3, known as the Mandarin, when you destroy him as a character and distort the story plot, I mean, Marvel, the people behind this film, what were you thinking? Really, what were you thinking when you did this? Because, as far as I know, and I read comics all the time, I'm a comic book fanatic, they completely screwed up the character of the Mandarin in this film. And I realize it may sound childish to focus on one main aspect of this film, which is the story and the main villain. But when the main villain is Iron Man 3's arch nemesis, and you screw everything up by adding in additional characters, by the way, this is going to contain spoilers, you have been warned. So the Mandarin is Iron Man 3's arch nemesis. For those of you who don't know, he is a professional martial artist. An alien spaceship crashed. When that ship crashed, he found 10 power rings, and each of these power rings had all these different abilities, and the Mandarin is like, he's a terrorist, literally. And in Iron Man 3, nothing about power. You see 2 shots in the entire film with him with 4 rings on his hand. He does nothing with the rings. The powers are nothing. There's no backstory behind the character of the Mandarin. But this is what pissed me. I was so mad when I saw this, is that there's a plot twist in this, and there's a character by the name of, what's his name? I'm looking at, Aldrich Killian. Aldrich Killian is the Mandarin. Now, in this film, the Mandarin is a decoy. Aldrich Killian hires a decoy actor to play the Mandarin, and portray himself on TV as this evil terrorist, when Aldrich Killian is actually the Mandarin behind the scenes, trying to make these bombs and things and do experiments with DNA and stuff like that. And I was shocked when they did this. It was insulting to the story arc and the comics at the fact that you would do this to his arch nemesis, okay? I want you to picture arch nemesis a Joker in Batman. Can you imagine if they made a decoy of the Joker throughout the whole film, and then near the end of the film, then the Joker's like, I'm actually not the Joker, I'm a hired actor, and this is the real Joker, and he doesn't even look like the Joker, and he doesn't use jokes, and his entire character is not even relatively anything like the Joker? You'd be mad, right? That's what happened with Iron Man 3. I was like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now, granted, the film I liked it. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Robert Downey Jr., acting was solid. Great acting performance. He has Tony Stark's character hammered down. Excellent. Visual effects, fantastic, beautiful. Sound, fantastic, beautiful. But story, villain, down. In fact, I was very sad. I was sad that they could ruin such a fantastic character in the Marvel Universe and a fantastic villain and bring him to someone who doesn't even use his power rings. I mean, what's the point in introducing an arch nemesis villain when you don't even portray him like in the comics? He doesn't even use his powers correctly. He doesn't use any rings. He's not an actor, okay? I know I'm focusing and hammering on this point of the story and the Mandarin, but you just can't do that to a film. And if you're not a comic book fanatic and you don't know the story, then you'll probably be like, oh, it was a great film, the villain was awesome, and everything was cool. That's fine if you think that, but as someone who knows the Marvel Universe from head to toe, and how the villains are, and the story arc, it was fucked up. But overall, I enjoyed the film. And if I had to, what I most liked about this film, though, there are a few positive things, don't get me wrong, is I love the fact that you see Tony Stark become relatable. In the events in Iron Man 3 take place after New York and the Avengers, which I really liked. And the fact that Tony Stark is going through post-traumatic stress disorder from all the anxiety, and he actually has anxiety attacks in the film. And as someone who actually has anxiety to the point of where I've had anxiety attacks, I know exactly how it felt. So when he was having anxiety attacks, it felt relatable. And there's one thing in films that I really like that portray comic book characters is when a character, superhero like Iron Man 3, has human-like qualities just like you and me do. Anxiety attacks, we're struggling, have, you know, anxiety and struggling with pain and not being able to help everybody and do everything. And what I really liked about that is that Sammy Davis Jr., Tony Stark's character, his ego is really tested. He is challenged, and that's what I liked about it, is the main fact that a hero that is always arrogant, or as I like to call them, they're a douche prick, very arrogant, you know, stuck up, cocky, finally gets a test of his own medicine, and he becomes humble through that experience. Now, granted, he's Tony Stark, he's not always going to be humble, but in this film, everything that he has is taken away from him, and it shows a part of Tony Stark that we've never really seen before in the Iron Man franchise. On film. In the comics, it's all over the place, but then this movie really fucked up the comic storyline, so if you want to go see this film just for fun and see a fantastic kind of comedy/action-adventure movie, go see Iron Man 3, but if you're going here expecting to see the Mandarin in his full power with 10 power rings and killing people and badass and doing all these crazy things like he does in the comics, you're going to be disappointed because it follows nothing with the comics. In fact, it's a complete insult to anything that Marvel has ever done in the 1980s. That's my review. Take it or leave it. I know I'm going to get criticized saying, Daniel, you're being way too harsh on this film. No, I'm not. I'm not. If you know the Mandarin and you know his powers and you know his backstory, the decoy thing, the story plot was just... Why? Avengers was so good. But if I was to rate this film out of 1 through 5 stars, I would have to give it a 3. Just a plain old 3. It's fun, great, fantastic acting. It's an adventure film. Go see it. But do not expect a badass villain that we know as the Mandarin. Thank you for fucking that up. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, in case you didn't know, here are all the powers that the Mandarin actually has, which are never actually used. Ice Blast, Little Finger, Mento Intensifier, Electro Blast, Flame Blast, White Light, Black Light, Disintegration Beam, Vortex Beam, Impact Beam, and Matter Rearranger. You can click the link down below in the description to read every single one of those powers and what they do. Unfortunately, they weren't in the movie.